Welcome to In the Loop, a New England Temperature Solutions podcast. In today's episode, NET's president, Dominick DeLuca, will be joined by Kevin Shannon from Kearsarge Power and Controls to talk shop about transformers, power solutions, and the future of industrial power controls. Kevin has been in the industry for decades and has extensive technical knowledge, as well as substantial experience in product marketing and business management. Without further ado, here's Dom and Kevin helping you get in the loop.
Hello, we want to thank you for joining us today for our podcast. I'm here with Kevin Shannon from Kearsarge. It's actually your first day at Kearsarge, which
my first official full day.
Full day.
We've been working the business for a couple of years now, between my partner Tom McGee and I, on the side and other things. But so we've been doing it for about 2 years now, and things have been going really well. And just was the right time to take it on full time now. So today is my first full-time day.
Full-time day, and you chose to spend it with us. We are honored. Let's start with who you are personally, family, hobbies, that kind of stuff.
Personally, so I grew up in Vermont. Grew up in New England. Lived around a lot of places. So I got out of college, went to Clarkson, up in upstate New York. First job was working at a motor rewind drives distributor in Woburn. Then I ended up working for a company called Magnatech, which became Yaskawa, big drives and motor company. My next job was down at Square D, which became Schneider Electric, of course. Spent about 15 years there. Down in North Carolina, then got transferred up to Ohio, doing product marketing, business management stuff, all the different electrical distribution products, automation products. It's kind of been the industry that I've been in most of my career. Then made my way back up to New England. We're looking to move back up this way. We were in Ohio at the time. My wife's from Connecticut, and we're just saying about time to move back up to New England. And so found an opportunity at Warner Power, which was a company in Warner, New Hampshire. It was a perfect fit. I was heading up the marketing and sales team there. It was previously a transformer and power supply manufacturer, very similar to what Kearsarge is now. They had some ownership changes, and I was talking to a customer of ours, Material Resource Furnaces, and it just worked out that I ended up going to work for those guys for about 3 years, which was very interesting. You know, I've always sold transformers, power supplies, and been in the heat treating industry is one of them. Working for all these guys as my customers, and now working on that side of it was a lot of learning. There's a lot of cool stuff that goes on. Some great customers that we worked with, and but as I mentioned, Tom and I had discussed getting Kearsarge started up 2 years previously, and we had done it on the side and been making it work, and it got to the point where we had enough business, and we moved into a new facility, and things were just right. So I decided to take that step. And yesterday was my last day at Materials Research Furnaces, and today is my first full day at Kearsarge Power.
And I know your wife works with you?
She does a little bit of work with us. So does my daughter and my son. Same with Tom.
Married? How long you been married?
31 years.
We shouldn't have had to practice this.
No. Like I say, it's because it'd be 31 in a month or so. In August. So.
In August what?
13th.
Oh, I'll be 41 on August 13th.
You know, you're the third person I know that was on what year?
83.
Oh, so mine was 93. So.
Yeah, right. 10 years later. Yeah. That's cool.
Interesting.
Now, what about you? Live in New Hampshire? What hobbies? What do you do? Any?
So when we moved back up that way, it was. I did feel bad. My son, kids were probably middle school-ish time frame, so it was a little difficult. But after being there about 6 months, they're like, "Wow, we live in vacation land." So we like to ski and rock climb and hike a lot. Started getting back into golf, although working with Kearsarge Power and MRF the last couple of years, I haven't had a lot of time to play. But
so golf. Okay, it's funny because I have a thing I do. I say every sales meeting ought to have a golf tournament.
There we go.
And you fire the two winners.
There you go.
Because if they have enough to win, they're probably stretching it a little bit. Yeah. So I just lost the golf audience here. I'm sorry, but so do you live in Kearsarge? Where do you live?
I live in New London. So Kearsarge Power is our new facility, all of our facilities have been in Grantham, which is, if you're familiar, about halfway between Concord and Hanover, if that makes sense for anybody, right by the Lake Sunapee and that general area. So great area. Worked out well for both Tom and I. Both live up that way, and the town has been great. We, like I said, we moved into a new facility, I'll say a month ago, went through the town board and everything like that, and they're very supportive of what we're doing, and there's not a lot of companies coming in that are looking to do industrial manufacturing. So we do complete design, build, test, and one of the things that Tom and I talked about that we wanted to achieve, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of these other things, but is building up the trades. And so working with some of the local trade schools to help, get some of the kids coming out to have some cool jobs that college isn't for everybody, right? It worked for me and Tom and others, but so, electrical apprentices, assembly guys. We've got some folks that are working with us that had worked at Warner Power, had done that type of job for a number of years with a great career. And so we're kind of, Tom and I joke, we're the old guys, the old goats, right? And the folks that are working with us, we've worked with for years in various capacities. And we've got this great knowledge base that we're looking to kind of share down to the next generation, kind of bring up just so we can maybe golf or have some time off. But that was one of the objectives when we set forth, is like there's this great knowledge base that we've got to transfer to some folks, because when Warner got shut down and moved out to Michigan, we're like, all these folks that are doing this are so good at what they do. And so our goal is to build it back up and then kind of feed it down the road.
Nice. So Grantham is, you call it Kearsarge because there's a Kearsarge State Park there, or
Kearsarge Mountain, yep.
Kearsarge Mountain. Now, it's a funny thing because I live on the other side I have a place on the other side of New Hampshire because I cross-country ski in Jackson, New Hampshire. And in my backyard, there's Mount Bartlett, and then on the other side is Mount Kearsarge. And there's two of them.
Kearsarges
and apparently there's 100 Kearsarge, because Kearsarge was a famous ship?
So the story, as I understand it, is the Kearsarge ship was named after lumber that was taken off of Kearsarge Mountain in Warner, I believe.
Okay.
It was the ship was built off of lumber from one of the Kearsarge Mountains.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's the one in Warner or the one up north, but I believe that's how that ship got its name.
And there's a lot of there's a lot of use of that name Kearsarge throughout New Hampshire, and to have two mountains called Kearsarge is kind of funny, because I'm like, wait a minute, that's my mountain. I'm driving 3 hours away. It's about 3 hours, I think, to you from North Conway, because it's all back roads.
It's funny. My son and I like to backcountry ski, and it's the St. Patrick's Day. We were going up Tuckerman's and come back down.
You were right near, okay.
And we were right through Jackson. There's a place called Shannon's Door.
Right.
And so him and I saw it. We've seen it a number of times. We figured, well, on St. Patrick's Day, we got to stop in, and so we stopped in there real quickly on the way back.
Crazy busy.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty early. We were there before lunchtime. We got up early, got our run in, and came back down. And so we stopped in, had one beer there, and headed back down.
It's a cool place. We go there on a Sunday night. Well, pre-COVID, you go there on a Sunday night. Sunday night up in that area, you can almost hear people exhale because everybody's left, right? Otherwise, you're waiting.
Thank you for coming and leaving your money, but go home now.
But then COVID hit and nobody left. It was like the craziest thing. It just people stayed, and what the times we'd have up there during the week was normally quiet. It was just packed, and then you didn't have help, so restaurants were either open, and people were, they would actually take turns up there, and they all got together and said, okay, we're going to close on Monday, we're going to close on Tuesday, because they'd share a lot of the help. But it's a great area. So let's transition a little bit into you gave us your work experience. A little bit of it. You want to fill that in? You got to fill anything in?
There's not a whole lot more, but I've been in the electrical industry pretty much my whole career. Sales, product management, business management, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. From
very big companies like Magnatech, and then Schneider Electric, which is multi-billion-dollar company.
We used to be a rep for Schneider.
And to smaller companies like a Warner Power, and certainly now Kearsarge, which is. It's been a great gamut. I love all of it. You learn some cool stuff from big companies. You learn to implement it and work on the fly in smaller companies. And right now, the smaller company thing is really the challenge that I was looking for. And the whole team at Kearsarge.
Cool. So now tell me a little bit about Kearsarge Power.
So Kearsarge, as I mentioned, it was started as a brainchild of my partner Tom and I. As Warner Power got bought and they moved the manufacturing facility out to Michigan, we decided, look, there's going to be a hole in the heat treatment industry or the magnetic industry as a whole for building transformers, not just for heat treatment guys, but a bunch of others. And we're like, wow, there's so many people here this knowledge base is great, and so there's a great opportunity. And as I mentioned, we talked to a couple of customers, and they all said, look, if you can get this back going, there's definitely a need. So our focus is on transformers, enclosed transformers with SCR controls and power switching devices, and then the one you saw the other day up at the shop is a transformer, disconnect stuff, SCR controls, PLCs, and so we've got the whole gamut. And the team at Kearsarge, between Tom and I, and then we've got a couple other guys. One was a 20-year electrical engineer at a furnace company. One was a 35-year lead engineer at Warner Power and other places. So we've got these guys that can do a little bit of everything, and we've got other folks that work with us that do programming. So combined there, we've got this great source that we can do. We're vertically integrated. We make all our own enclosures. We design them, get the steel. We worked with UNH and some other places to cut the steel. We have metal bending equipment and mills at our place, or we sometimes outsource it. We do outsource all the painting. That's just something we haven't brought in yet, but I think we'll probably keep outsourcing that. We're going to be manufacturing our own transformers. We certainly buy circuit breakers, SCR controls, and others, but then we assemble all of them, wire them, test them. So when a customer calls us, whether he needs just a transformer in a box that he's going to put stuff in, or if he just wants a turnkey solution that says, hey, I need this to do that. I need 17 volts and 13 volts and 15 volts, and I need it about right there. We say, okay, how much footprint you got? And we give it to them there, and it shows up on them. They 3 wires in, 3 wires out, and away they go.
So I'm going to ask you what problems, which you started to answer, what problems you see in the industry. I mean, you're sitting here because I saw a problem as a sales guy when Warner Power left the state and then went out of, I guess they went out of business. Grand Power,
a year or two after they.
We see there's no options for transformers in New England, and we customers buying transformers 1,000 miles away and spending $1,000 to get them here, and that. And the other thing is we've dealt with some panel people in the past, but they're not as much of an expert on our process as you appear to be. They're good at PLCs, they're good at panels, they're good at taking somebody's drawing and replicating it, but there is, at least we see it with Nets, our application experience in our markets is what sets us apart from just a classic distributor who's just doing, and that seems to be the case with you. So what problem are you seeing in the industry, and how are you solving it?
So there's a number. One was the geographic thing with the company leaving. That can be filled, I think. But the challenge is that most transformer manufacturers don't live and breathe in this environment, right? SCR controls, maybe. SCR controls in difficult environments, like we were talking, powdered metal or graphite plants, creates different issues. We understand why a SAT core reactor might be better in a graphite plant, or understanding why you would need to enclose the SCR controls with positive ventilation and air-to-water heat exchanger. Our guys have designed hot zones and heating elements for furnaces for many years, so they understand. I used to call it power to process, but when the power comes out of the wall, your customers don't care. What they want is they want uniform heat in their vacuum furnace that they can control very tightly, minimal harmonics, and reliability. So our team really understands that. So we can go, you can give me a call, and I told you a couple of companies, hey, can you come take a look at this? We come down there, myself, or if I go down with some other guys, and just say, what are your problems? We really truly understand, as well or better than a lot of the folks, what could be going on in that electrical power chain. And that's really the value that we bring. But that's the problem-solving thing, because They don't want to be down. You unplanned downtime is critical.
Right.
Companies now want to be able to monitor it on an HMI or communicate better with their supervisory system without having somebody to help them do that handshake. They can't get that the information they need to make those decisions, like maybe I need a new hot zone or maybe I need to clean this.
Right.
So we can help them get that data and understand what that data is meaning to keep their processes efficient, up and running, and reliable.
And you've got the experience of all the machinery that went into it.
Exactly.
And the whole process. So that's very powerful. And that's similar to us. I mean, I'd say the value we add here is everyone, Bob and I are both in field service. So we knew what it was like to replace a controller. You know, I hang in the panel, I open it up, okay, you're missing wires here. Why aren't there wires here? So that's the value we bring. It sounds very much similar. You know how the thing's put together. You know what pieces to put and where they're going to get value. Now, you said something interesting I want to pick up on because it's the age-old question. I've always thought there was never a good time for a saturated core reactor. You said know when to, you know.
So they're in the early days, and I know you were talking with Danny Bender the other day, and I think he might even agree, back 20, 30 years ago, I mean, SCI controls were around forever, but they were discrete boards, and they're open to the environment. And graphite plants, powder metallized plants that we were talking about, some folks out in St. Mary's, PA, that was a very difficult environment for any type of electronics.
Okay.
And saturable core reactors have very minimal electronics. You know, they're big chunks of magnetics that control it, and you got a small little 90-volt DC signal that's saturating the core to control the heat. It's bomb-proof. Is it as efficient? No. Does it hold the tightest tolerance? No. But in a lot of applications, it's okay. It requires a bigger footprint. But until they started coming out with conformally coated boards and self-contained systems like the Control Concepts SCRs, you would have a lot of failures. When an SCR goes, it's not a pretty sight.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. We've got a lot of customers that Warner used to, and high-end customers building silicon carbide crystals used that saturable core reactors for many years because of the reliability and they didn't want to change. Now they're looking at, hey, how do I improve my process? I'm worried about reliability. Well, we can show you why that's going to help it, but you're going to minimize your footprint. You can put more furnaces on a floor. You can improve the efficiency. Your temperature tolerances are a little bit less, so they're tighter. It's just moving forward. And so that's one of our biggest opportunities. We've replaced 2 so far, and the customer's like, thank you. This is great. And the old one was great, but it's 30 years old. I can't get the driver amps for it. I can't get the parts that are needed, and I'm really worried if something goes down, I'm not going to be able to get it back up.
Right.
And so we've now moved them into current components, and they're very happy.
Right. And then get all the data off of it. Now
Exactly.
All digital, get into the PLC or a control system, and so there's a bunch.
Exactly. Because as customers are, everybody talks about AI and data gathering, but it's real. You can start seeing trends. You can tell when your furnace is doing things it shouldn't be doing, or when you might need to do some maintenance, and that goes a long way to keep them up and running reliably.
So we were talking earlier about powdered metal and even brought up a customer, and it may have been where this happened, but I started in '83, didn't know what I was doing. I remember going to a powdered metal company and wanting to touch the part and not realizing that it would have fallen apart. And the guy goes, "No, don't touch that." And it may have been the customer you were just talking about, who will leave anonymous here. But so do you have any funny stories like that of something you may have done or something that you've seen that was like, wow, that was pretty cool?
Well, I mean, there's been so many. We've both been at customers forever, right? You go into plants that used to do a lot with the paper in film and foil and the plastic coating industry. We were talking about extruding.
Yep.
You ever seen it go into there and they're winding up plastic film at like a couple thousand feet a minute, and the roll snaps and stuff fills up a whole room full of product because somebody adjusted it wrong and they hit the wrong button. And like powdered metal plants is the classic. They get people in there, they don't realize. You can tell you haven't been in a powdered metal plant because you're going in there with a white shirt and you don't have boots on, and you come back out and you've got black fingerprints on your face and your clothes because you touched something. And but it's just it's being in front of customers like we've talked about before. That's the fun part of this, and so you're always seeing cool stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've been in places where I've gotten dirty, real dirty. We have one here where a guy was, our guy Bob, on our service call, and he was at a fish processing company, and he literally had to take his clothes off and put it in the trunk. I mean, I think the second time he planned it so that he had something else to wear. I don't know what he did the first time, but well, Kevin, this is great. Would you like, before we stop, would you like to say anything else, or tell us your website?
Oh, yeah. And we're just getting ready to. It's up and running as I told you to start. It's KearsargePower.com.
Spell that for us, please.
You're good. Thank you.
Yeah.
KearsargePower. All Kearsarge Power. All one word, if you will.
And we'll have that on the link too.
But yeah, and so what I'd like to leave you guys is thank you. I appreciate it. You know, we've kind of been bouncing around for a number of years in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think the opportunity for us to work together is going to be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can continue to help our customers solve problems. They'll be successful. We'll be successful. Have some fun.
Right.
And I'm really looking forward to the next step in my career and really getting Kearsarge Power off the ground, working with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming down here. Your first day full-time on the job. I know you're busy.
Yep.
And have been busy, and we will, like Kevin said, we'll be promoting this product throughout New England and assisting customers with some of these problems and hopefully be able to solve it. So thank you. We appreciate your time in watching us. And if you need any more information, there's probably a box on the email you can click or respond to, and we can certainly get you more information. Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Thank you for getting in the loop with us. We hope this podcast was informative, and if you need any assistance on anything in the thermal process industry, please feel free to reach out to us at 800-848-NETS. That's 800-848-6387, or visit our website at www.nets-inc.com to fill out a request for information form. If there are any topics regarding thermal processes that you would like to hear on a future podcast, please send us a comment. We hope you have an awesome day every day.